Mellow greetings, everybody. My name is James. I am from the internet. And today we're going to take a look at some more people who are running cover and blowing smoke for Donald Trump. As we previously covered, bamboozle them with bullshit is a tried and true Trump favorite. He breaks it out anytime he needs to. You just send out tons of sycophants and just have them go out and go and like run around like crazy people, and everybody with a camera and a microphone goes and follows them around, and the next thing you know, it's complete chaos, and you no longer know what's news, what's fact, what's reality, what's just people chasing people. And so, considering the ass kicking that Donald Trump took at the polls, and then the continued ass kicking he's taking every single day in courthouses all across the nation as he tries to sue his way to maintain the presidency, which is very on brand for Trump, he's got the whole army of drones out there. Yeah. We know Rudy's running point on the legal end, and that's probably not going to end up working so well for him, as evidenced by his phenomenal court showing in Pennsylvania the other day. And on the media airwaves, he turned to the big kahuna, his number one cheerleader, Carlson. Come on, everybody. You know our friend Carlson. Hold on, here he is. Cha-ching! So what I'm going to do real quick is show you some of the interference Tucker was running for the president. And then, of course, I'm going to show you some examples thoroughly debunking everything that Tucker Carlson said. Because, and I remind you all one more time, Fox News lawyers argued in court on public record that Tucker Carlson not only has no obligation to repeat facts or tell people the truth, but that Fox News viewers know and understand that Tucker Carlson is not delivering news or facts, that he is merely giving opinions, and that nobody has a reasonable or good faith expectation that Tucker Carlson is actually going to inform you with facts. This was argued on the record by Fox News attorneys this year. So you'll have to excuse me when I got a little suspicious after I heard Tucker Carlson busting out names and facts on behalf of the president, because frankly, names and facts are not Tucker Carlson's strong suit. Inheriting the Swanson frozen dinner family fortune, that's his jam. Using clip-on bow ties, that's his jam. Facts? Not so much. So now I'm going to take a moment and I'm going to debunk some of his bullshit, because unlike Tucker Carlson, I actually have a modicum of integrity, and I guess I am a more credible source than Tucker Carlson is, mostly because I've never had attorneys argue in court that nobody has any expectation that I would tell them the truth. So let's take a look at exactly what Tucker did so I can blow some holes in whatever it is he said. Last week, Fox News host Tucker Carlson delivered a breathless report he promised his viewers was the unvarnished truth about voter fraud, claiming he had undeniable evidence that people were fraudulently posing as dead voters to cast ballots in Georgia. Oh, damn you evil demon rats. I know he's talking about you. What we're about to tell you is accurate. Carlson confidently declared last Wednesday, "It's not a theory, it happened, and we can prove it." Other news organizations could prove it too. They've simply chosen not to. Oh shit! Tucker Carlson calling people out. Hitting the lamestream media, saying you should do more journalism like I, Tucker Carlson, do. You should be real journalists. You should do your jobs. You just decided not to. You abdicated responsibility. So what did Tucker Carlson do? He got 4 names and showed that all 4 of these people were dead people who had voted in the presidential election, which is weird because they're dead. But Tucker Carlson stated that his information was accurate. He said it's not a theory. He said it happened. Do you want to see what actually happened? Yes, dead people voted in this election, and Democrats helped make it happen. They went all in. You want to see what his evidence looked like? His undeniable proof that was accurate? Because he was doing the job of the lamestream media, who's apparently Too busy writing mean things about Donald Trump to, I don't know, go out and research all the dead people who voted for Joe Biden? You want to see what it looked like? It's been more than a week since the final votes were cast, and many of Donald Trump's 72 million voters still believe this election was fundamentally unfair. Wah! They're right about that. Democrats completely changed the way we voted in this election. Our system has never been more disorganized, and it's never been more vulnerable to manipulation. So was there voter fraud? We've been working on that question ever since the election. We tried to be careful and precise as we report this out. In moments like this, truth matters more than ever. False allegations of fraud can cause as much damage as the fraud itself. And that's the last thing America needs right now, more damage. What we're about to tell you is accurate. It's not a theory. It happened and we can prove it. Other news organizations can prove it too. They simply chosen not to. The position of corporate media across the country this week has been very simple. There was no voter fraud. They say it again and again, but what exactly are they talking about? They won't tell you, so we're going to tell you right now. Dun, dun, dun. Among the votes audited in Georgia, you'll find a ballot cast by a woman called Deborah Jean Christensen. It'd be hard to find anybody who's got a bad word to say about Deborah Jean Christensen. She was well known in her community for years as a bird watcher, an avid gardener, a committed fan of the Georgia Bulldogs. Those who knew her were sad when she died last May. And they might be surprised to learn that even after her death, Deborah Jean Christensen still managed to register, to vote, and then cast a ballot, presumably for Joe Biden. I feel like he's just setting me up to punch him even harder. Like, woo, man, you're begging for the ass kicking I'm about to drop on you here, buddy. In some ways, it's an inspiring story. The triumph of voting over death. And no one quite embodies that story like James Blaylock of Covington, Georgia. Mr. Blaylock was a mailman for 33 years until he passed away in 2006. 14 years later, according to state records, he was still mailing things. James Blaylock cast a ballot in last week's election. How did he do that? Maybe he's just one of those extraordinary mail carriers. Neither rain nor snow nor gloom of night or even death itself could keep him from the mail. In this case, maybe voting from the grave wasn't really fraud. It was just commitment. And then Tucker goes on to talk about other people, but you caught the general snark there, right? And how they had this incontrovertible evidence with tons of proof. Turns out that Tucker and the people in Fox News did a very typical Tucker and Fox News quality job on checking their sources and their content. So before anybody on the internet, myself included, could get down to this and savage Fox News and Tucker Carlson for being the usual shit spewers that they are, El Presidente, the commandant himself, he chimed in because you know he loves him some Tucker Carlson. Sure, he might be complaining about Fox News. You hear him, you see him tweeting. You know he's going to try to get his own show over at the Newsmax just to fuck with him, but he still loves him some Tucker. So he actually quoted all of this in an announcement that he put out on his website and blasted out to everybody on his email list. And in that, he cited all of these same people, including pictures of their obituaries from newspapers. Look at these dead people. They're truly dead, right? Look, they're in the email. Donald Trump said they're dead, ergo they're dead, right? Go! Two accused dead Georgia voters very much alive despite claims, and they voted legally. Ironically enough, the news station that did the work on this, yeah, they're 11 alive. That's right, 11 alive confirmed that the voters were not dead. 11 Alive's chief investigator was able to find out that James Blaylock did not vote in last week's election. It was his widow, Mrs. James Blaylock, who voted with her own ballot. He's not voting. He didn't vote, Agnes Blaylock told 11 Alive. It was me. You know, the one who's alive. Newton County officials confirmed that Agnes Blaylock voted using her married name, a common way to register when Mrs. Blaylock first started voting in the 1940s. Quote, her voter registration was signed as Mrs. James E. Blaylock Jr., and that is exactly how she signed her name when she voted in the November 3rd general election. So, looks like Tucker's first claim that El Presidente then parroted is total and complete bullshit. Yeah, that thing's redline, baby. So, 11 Alive, with the hot hand, decided to go 2 for 2 and look at one of the other ones that Tucker and Trump brought up. Here was Trump's tweet. Mrs. Linda Kessler of Nicholson, Georgia, voted in the election. The only problem, she passed away 17 years ago in 2003. Oops, guess what? 11 Alive was able to determine that is also false. The Jackson County Board of Elections said she did not vote. Quote, Linda Kessler of Nicholson was marked deceased in 2003 and did not vote. Linda Kessler, with a Y, not an I, who has a different address, birthday, and zip code, who is entitled to vote, did vote, the Board of Elections said. The Secretary of State's office is also investigating 2 other alleged dead Georgians who voted, but the office confirmed half of those named by the campaign had voted illegally. Ooh. See, kids, this is why you don't get your news from Fox News. That's where Trump gets his news, and burp, 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 burp. Wah. Technically, Tucker's still batting 500, right? He's 2 for 4. 500, that gets you in the Hall of Fame. That makes you the greatest hitter in history. So I wonder, what about those other 2 people? Ding! Just ridiculous. CNN speaks to Georgia voter. The Trump campaign falsely accused of casting a ballot in the name of a dead woman. Could it be? Did they get another one wrong too? The campaign and Carlson said this vote was a fraud because Deborah Jean Christensen died last year. In fact, the vote was legally cast by a living woman who also happens to be named Deborah Jean Christensen, born in the same year and month, but on a different day. Christensen answered the door when CNN showed up at her house on Tuesday evening. You know, because Tucker Carlson and the President of the United States of America decided to put a random woman on blast because Trump is too much of a giant petulant man baby to concede that he was beaten. Christensen, a retired mental health counselor who moved from Nebraska to Georgia in September, said she voted for Trump in 2016, but came to regret the decision, and then voted for Joe Biden in 2020. Christensen said the false accusation from the Trump campaign is, quote, just ridiculous, and part of an effort by a narcissist president to deny the obvious reality of his defeat. The guy lost the election. He should be worried more about taking care of people with this COVID-19 going on. He's got a pandemic, she said. Come on, Biden won. Let's move on. Ow! So claims that Deborah Jean Christensen was a dead person who voted. Survey says... I can't hear you. What? Yeah, so that took a couple of news orgs 3 days to bust, and now Tucker Carlson and the president are 1 for 4, which gives you a whopping 250 batting average, which makes you a utility infielder hitting out of the 9 hole in the American League at best. Tucker Carlson, Fox News, Donald Trump. They're rarely right, but they're always the first ones to open their big fucking mouths and lie if it's going to help them get further. Less than 2 months to go, everybody, before the angry shit Gibbon gets pushed out of the office. So until then, keep your eye on the prize. My name's James. I'm out. Peace.